Hey everybody, Jim Tedesco here, I just wanted to explain up front that this is an unedited how-to video. All my screw-ups are involved and there were many. So enjoy what you see. It is a little long, I understand, but it's kind of a learning experience for many. So enjoy the show and, well, you just watch it and see. Hey everybody, Jim Tedesco here from Millennium County RR, version 2.5. And we're going to be doing a how-to video today. Some of it's pretty simplistic, the other part isn't. But we're going to be installing a Tsunami 2 sound card, sound decoder, into this P42, excuse me. P42 Amtrak locomotive. We're also going to be installing a current keeper. This is the part that's a little more difficult because it doesn't plug in. It has to be soldered. I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, the decoder, which isn't much, just this little circuit board here. We're going to plug that in first, and like I said, anybody can do this. This is very simple. Although there probably is a right way and a wrong way to do it. And I'm going to demonstrate that when we're ready to do it. So, without any further ado, we're going to switch cameras and commence to installing this. So, stay tuned. Alright, we switched cameras. This is our P42 here. I've already removed the screws off the body, the shell. So all we're going to do is lift the shell off. There's nothing connected to the shell wiring wise, so we can put that aside. We're just going to set that back here. Set upside down to protect the ladders. Now we're going to take the chassis and put it in this foam carrier, foam protector, whatever you want to call it. Now you'll notice the first thing I have to do is, of course, put my magnifiers on because, you know, I'm old. So you'll notice that there's a 21 pin NEMA connector right here. I don't know how well you can see that. There we go. It's still kind of tough to see, but it's right there. Alright, yeah, there we go. So let me take this out of the package. Like I said, there isn't too much to these. Pretty basic. Plug it in. Oh, between the staples and I should have took it out before we did this. Okay, finally got it. There it is. Put that over there. We don't need this. Now, the good news is, not that we really need it, but let me take these off for a second. They give a little illustration of how it goes in. So you'll notice that the board is right side up, or upside down, depending how you look at it. Okay, now, according to this, it's in there. Can't get much easier than that, huh? Now I believe that the default address on this is 3. Well, this one says 1. Never seen one with 1 before. Huh. Interesting. I guess we'll find out. Like I said, normally your default address is 03 or 3. I find it hard to believe that would be anything other than that. According to this, it's 1, but we'll see. No, that's what it says on the instructions anyway. They'll also give you a little thing here to tell you what all the functions are for your function assignments. Quite a few of them there, by the way. So, anyway. So now the decoder is in. That was the easy part. We may have to take it back off again because we've got to solder in the current keeper or keep alive. So I'm going to pause this video for a moment and get the instruction sheet that I have online, and we'll take a look at it and see what needs to be done. So stay tuned. Alright, it's Sunday, November 16th. Finally got my speakers in. Got 2 of them. I already installed one. We're going to go ahead and show you how I install the second one. So, stay tuned and we'll see what's going on. We'll change cameras. Okay, let me get my soda can out of the way here. Okay, now you can see where this right here, there's an indent for the speaker. So basically it's real simple. We just drop it right in there, making sure the wires are to the back. And then we take our cover, this right here, we basically put it right over the top. Making sure the wires are out of the way, which they are. Got our 2 screws here. Just put my goggles on for this. You'll see a little bit better. Oh yeah, much better. Now where'd my screwdriver go? Here it is. I really got to clean this desk off a little bit. We're putting the screws in. That's 1. And we're gonna move these wires out of the way. And that's it. Now the speaker's in place. We're going to go into wiring in a little while. Here's the wires for the back one. Now, I was just watching a video. Let me switch over here. I was watching a video and the guy was doing an install on this. I don't know who it is. At first I thought it might be the Train Freak or Colonel Cottonbelt, as he's now known. Jason, but not his. But the guy had some pretty good ideas. And what he did was he put an LED. He switched back over here. Get me something here I could use as a pointer. And glasses. He put an LED right here in the back of the cab. Well, you wouldn't see it. You know, there'll be a little hole I got to put in here. And he put a red LED in for an emergency light. And I'm thinking a white LED just as an interior light. And I'll put an engineer in here so we can do all that while I'm doing this stuff here. He also had ladder lights, which I don't know how he did that. I don't know if I could do that or not. A little complicated if you ask me. Yeah, it would be. I don't know how you could do that, so we're not going to do the ladder lights. But I am going to do the interior lighting. I think that would be cool. And I'll have that come on with the headlight. No need to have a separate function for that. Now, he did point out that the ditch lights, which I don't fully understand, but what happened there? I'm going to have to straighten some of those out. The ditch lights are wired together on the PC board. In order to separate them so they can flash alternately, you would have to modify the board, and I don't want to get into that. It would have been nice to have flashing lights, but, or alternating lights. It's not going to happen. I could make them flash, though, and that's fine. That's according to this guy. Now, I don't know. It looks like that's the way it works. You're looking at the front board. It does look like both left and right ditch lights are tied together. Which I don't know why the factory did that. But they did. Anyway, I'm going to take a brief break and we'll be back in a bit and we'll get some more work done. Alright, here we are. Now, I've got the buddy board installed in the P42. That's this right here. This is the original motherboard right here. And I don't want to completely disconnect it yet, so it'll make it easier. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hook up the track pickup wires. This is the one on the right hand side. I'm going to have to tin it. And I've got to turn my soldering iron on. That would help, wouldn't it? There we go. We're getting there. It's going to be slow, and this is probably going to be a lengthy video, probably about an hour long or so. And I may, speed up some things in editing. But for right now, we're going to do this. Now, I've carefully set up my camera to get as sharp an image as I can get. If I leave it on automatic, it's very blurry. So I've been able to manually focus in as best I can. So like I said, the first thing we're going to do is, and I'll use my pointer here. This pad right here is for the track pickup on this side. And this wire here, I gotta have to shorten this wire. That's going to be for the track pickup on that side. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to tin these wires. I should really shorten them a little bit first, though. I'm going to pause. I'll be back in a minute. Alright, I'm back. So I've tinned this wire. I'm going to try and put it on this pad. This is easier said than done. Put a little bit of... That's a lot more than I wanted. Try that again. Tiny bit there. Get solder on the iron. And there we go. A little tough to do because remember my right side was affected by the stroke and I can't really hold the wire with my right hand, so I have to use my left hand and use the soldering iron in my right hand, which has very little, I have little control over, but you know, that's the way it works. All right, I'm going to pause again. Actually, I'm just going to let it run. I'll edit out all the bullshit later. So we're going to make this a little shorter. We're going to tin that. There we go. And that one's on. Two down. We got good joints on that. Alright, now I'm going to pause it this time because I got to do a little bit more studying. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back again. Then we're going to do the other side track pickups. That's on that side, this is on this side. Gonna go ahead and tin this. Alright. That one's tinned. I think I got it. Seems like a good joint, so I'm going to leave it at that. Now we got to do the other one. Well, we'll get that tinned. Didn't quite get it. There we go. Alright, so now we got the track pad soldered both up front and rear. Thank God. Now we're gonna have to do the motor pads next. I'm gonna go ahead and tin those. Yeah, those are tinned. I think we need to have them quite that long. There we go. One down. Put a flux on that. go. Alright, we got the motor wires on. Alright, I gotta take a break. I'll be back on in a few minutes. Alright, I'm back. So I soldered this up while I was off camera. This is the speaker wire. We're going to be doing it in series. So, let me, let's see here, what am I looking for? Camera control. Let me zoom out. There we go. Now, basically what we got is you get a speaker here and a speaker here. We're going to run it in series, so we're going to use the positive from this speaker into the negative of this speaker. And then we're going to hook the positive and negative on the decoder buddy, and that'll give us a two-speaker setup. Now this only applies to the Digitrax board or Tsunami decoder. If you're running an ESU, you would do it in parallel, which is a completely different deal. I'm not going to go into that because, you know, I don't have an ESU decoder. But for the Tsunami decoder, this also applies to Econami and soundtracks in general. You're going to wire your two 8-ohm speakers, and these are 8 ohms each. You're going to wire it in series. So basically, you're going to run, you know, the speakers are going to run through each other. And they say you'll get the best quality sound by doing it that way. So that's what we're going to do. Now let me zoom back into this. And in a minute here, I'm going to go ahead and solder the speaker wires on the pad. Now, the decoder buddy has speaker terminals on each end. And I'm not sure how that would work or how you would even do that in a series situation. If you're running in parallel, I'm sure that works just fine. That's why I decided to do this the way Soundtracks actually shows the way their speakers should be wired up. So we're going to use the two pads on the back over here, right here where my finger is, or right here. Speaker 1 and speaker 2. There's no polarity on them. It doesn't matter which one goes where. You just want to make sure that you got a good solid connection on them. And after we do that, we're going to plug in the Tsunami decoder and put it on the test track. Make sure we have movement, and you should get some sort of sound going on. So that's where we're at right now. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the video again and get prepared to put the speaker wires in, and then we'll pick back up when I'm ready to solder them in. Alright, I'm back and I'm getting ready to solder this in. Get this back in place over here. Easier said than done, it always is. There we go. That was hard. We're going to do the same thing with this. We're going to shorten it up a little bit. I'm going to have to do this with my right hand, I guess. Okay. Man, it's going to be tougher than I thought. You gotta be kidding me. Finally got it. That was tough. I don't know if you can see that or not, but switch glasses again. Alright, I got them both on there. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on a test track and make sure that I've got movement and sound. So I'm going to pause the video until I get that done. I'll be back in a bit. Alright, I'm back. And we got sound and we got motion. Now there's the bell. There's the horn. Short horn. The crossing signal. Not too bad. Seem to have everything working. so far. See if we can get a little bit of motion here. Go forward. Got reverse. So all I've got left to do now is the lighting. So I'm going to take another break and then we're going to go ahead and get the lighting done. So stay tuned. Alright, back again. Now, I put the keep alive in, some double-sided tape. Now I'm getting ready to tin one of the wires. That's tinned. You couldn't see that really, but that's okay. Now, we'll put some solder on the terminal here. A little bit of flux. Now, I'm going to try and figure out how to get that wire in there as best I can. Okay.
Excessive gas concentration.
All right. I tell you, it's tough to do these things when you don't have a good hand to work with. That's on the plus. Now the ground is next to it. Gotta strip that down. And we're gonna tin that. Now that's 10. Now,
Excessive gas concentration.
the real trick is gonna get that in there where you can see it better. Alright. Oh.
Excessive gas concentration.
Well, this is going to be hard. I think I got it.
Excessive gas concentration.
Alright, now we're going to have to test it. And we're going to do that on the test track, which you can't see, but it's there. Let me see if I can. There we go. Alright, do we have power?
Excessive gas concentration.
We got power. I probably have to charge the capacitors in that. Didn't really specify. But no, it works. All right, good deal. All right.
Excessive gas concentration.
I make sure no wires get in the way here. All right, we can put that light board back on. Alright. Cut that water down in there a little bit.
Excessive gas concentration.
Okay. Now all we got to do is start hooking up light wires, and I have to do a little research to figure out what goes where. Well, actually, I've got the old board here. And that's going to be Interesting. We have a boatload of wires here. So it looks like
gas concentration,
the two red wires are connected together. And I don't know why. Looks like I got them underneath the speaker, which they don't need to be there.
gas concentration,
Where'd that screw go?
excessive gas concentration,
There we go. Oh, fuck. Do it again. Where it went. Alright. See if I can find
excessive gas concentration,
the screws. That's weird. Alright, let me see if I can find some extra ones. Where's the other ones there? No, that's not it. Okay, I'm going to take a break and find the screws. I'll be back in a minute. Alright, I found them. The real trick is, can I get them in there without dropping them again?
excessive gas concentration,
One. That's two. Alright, we got that taken care of. Now back to wiring lights. Hey, this stuff's tough, man. So, I'm going to pause again until I figure out which one goes where and then go from there. Be right back.
Excessive gas concentration. Excessive gas concentration. Excessive gas concentration. Excessive gas concentration.
Alright, so there you have it. I didn't show some of the after stuff because That was probably another hour, and it was unnecessary. I did blow out all the lights on it. My mistake. I thought the decoder buddy was already reduced voltage wise. It was not. So I wound up running a resistors for all the lighting, which took care of that. And the only other problem I ran, I always had to put all new micro LEDs in. Also, once again, another screw up on my part. I bought 3-volt micro LEDs. They suck a lot of wattage. So I couldn't run all the lights on the P42 the way I wanted to because it overloaded the buddy decoder. So in the future I'll be running 1.5-volt LEDs, which will take some of the load off the actual light board that's on the decoder buddy. My mistake. I still got most of everything I wanted done. I did want to put a cab light in, and I couldn't do that because the extra LED sucked way too much wattage and shut down the whole system. So I had to leave that out along with one class light in the rear, but everything else is operational. So like I said, live and learn. I made a lot of mistakes on this, but keep in mind, I really don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Well, I do, but not really enough to what needs to be done. I've learned a lot from this, and future DCC conversions will be much easier with less mistakes. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the P42 in action, and then that's it. So let me know what you think afterwards. Like I said, you'll probably get a big kick out of everything I did. Screw-ups and all. So anyway, enjoy it, and we'll see you real soon. Here we go. Now, let's get the startup sequence going. And shut down. And there you have it.